So we're back with our first deck. This is Modern Dredge. It's Cathartic Dredge, featuring the new card Cathartic Reunion from Kaladesh. We're just going to start with the land base. We run 21 lands. So we start with 5 basic mountains. So that's pretty simple as that. Next we have 2 Stomping Ground, which is the red-green shock land. So you can fetch those with your fetch lands, but you'll see those later. And then next we have 4 Bloodstained Mire, which is the red-black fetch land. So pretty much with Bloodstained Mire you can get the Stomping Ground because Bloodstained Mire says search for a swamp or a mountain. And since Stomping Ground in the actual text it says mountain forest, so you can get the Stomping Ground, as well as the 2 Blood Crypts that we run up there. And then another kind of dual land that we run is Copperline Gorge, which is the red-green fast land. Since we're running very few lands and very cheap spells, the fast lands work great in this deck. The next land is Darkmoor Salvage, which is the only Dredge land that we have. But if you guys don't know what Dredge does is if that card is in your graveyard, instead of drawing for your turn, you can put the top 2 cards from your library into your graveyard, if that's the number, which is Dredge 2. And then we run a 1-up Steam Fence. You'll see later in the deck why we run the 1 blue source. Otherwise the deck is predominantly Jund. And then at the top we run 3 Wood Fiddles, which is the red-green fetch land, which can also get your Blood Crypts and your Stomping Grounds. So this is the draw and removal section of the deck. So we're going to start off with 4 Cathartic Reunion, which is actually a new addition to the deck from Kaladesh, as I had mentioned before. It's a really good replacement to Tormenting Voice, which was pretty much almost the same thing, except you only discarded 1 card and you drew 2. So this one's better shaping your hand, getting your dredge cards into the graveyard, and then being able to dredge a ton more. So the next card that we have is in the drawing spot is Faithless Looting, which is a 1-mana draw 2, discard 2, and then you can flash back for 3 and do the same thing, obviously. And once again, this is another great card for getting cards into your graveyard and into your hand. So a lot of the deck, actually, there's a bunch of useless cards that will be in your hand. So getting them into graveyard is the most important part. And then we have 3 Conflagrate. This is actually one of my favorite cards in the entire deck because not only is it a great removal spell, but it's a great finisher. So in those long games, when you start to not be able to, you can only get in a couple damage a turn, let's just say with your flyers. You can finish them off with a Conflagrate and deal 7 to 8 damage with them. And the last card, which is just a 1-of, is Lightning Axe, and it's just another way to get a card into your graveyard, and you can deal 5 damage to a creature. So that's just added benefit. So this is pretty much the heart of the deck. These are all the big Dredge cards in our deck that are going to get our other creatures into our graveyard and then mass an entire board by turn 2 or 3 if we have a good hand. So we're going to start off with the big boy, Golgari Grave Troll. And he has Dredge 6, so you always want to get him into your graveyard, drawing him so that you can put 6 more cards into your graveyard and then get those creatures, which you'll see afterwards. And then has the added ability, if you're able to get to 5 lands, you can cast it and it enters the battlefield with +1/+counter for each other creature in your graveyard. So the next dredger we have is Stinkweed Pimp. And he pretty much has Dredge, so he's Dredge 5. Just another big dredger that we can get into our graveyard, and to get those important creatures that we need to get out early on. And again, if you ever cast him, he has flying, and then whenever he deals combat damage to a player, whenever he deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. And he's only a 1/2, but he does his job. And then the last card in the deck, in the Dredge portion of the deck, is Life from the Loam. Another one of my all-time favorites in this deck. So from the surface, you can just see it as a Dredge card, Dredge 3. But by the late game, you're able to start to dredging it, getting 3 cards from your graveyard, and amassing a bigger hand so that you can Conflagrate them for lethal. So that's just actually one of the better cards in the deck for Conflagrate. So we're back to the we went to the Dredge portion of the deck, but now these are actually the creatures that are going to be winning us the games. So we can actually see these 2 new cards are actually really new, one from Shadow and one from Eldritch Moon. So we're seeing a wide variety of good cards here. Pretty much what Insolent Neonite does is that he's going to provide you with a very explosive start, allowing you to get your big dredgers into your graveyard, and then automatically dredging them right after, since you discard the card first before you actually draw it. So you can see some really big turns where you can actually discard Golgari Grave Troll on turn 1, dredge it, get another Grave Troll into the graveyard as well, and then on your actual draw step, dredge the Grave Troll, and now you have like 12 cards in your actual graveyard. And now we're going to look at the meat of the deck, which is pretty much the cards that are going to be dealing the most damage to your opponent. And we're going to start with Prize Amalgam. So pretty much what he is 3 mana for a 3/3, never usually casting him, but when another creature enters the battlefield from the graveyard, you can put him at your end step onto the battlefield tapped. So pretty much from these two cards, you'll be able to bring those in really fast. So with Narcomoeba, it's when it enters the graveyard from your library, you put it onto the battlefield, and that triggers the Prize Amalgam, which will come in on your end step. And another way to trigger the Prize Amalgam is through Bloodghast, which is another creature that has an effect from the graveyard, and that's pretty much whenever you play a land and Bloodghast is in your graveyard, you have the opportunity to bring it onto the battlefield, therefore triggering the Prize Amalgam, and then eventually you'll just be dealing a crap ton of damage. Even, like, I've had an entire board of, like, 2 Amalgams and 3 Bloodghasts and, like, 2 Narcomoebas on, like, turn 2. It's insane. So that was the entire main board of the deck. This is the sideboard. It's still a work in progress. I only have around like 11 cards here, but we're just going to show you what we have. So the first card that we're going to feature is Not the Bone. So this is a great card against any aggressive matchup. Pretty much for 3 mana, you can gain 2 life for each creature card in your graveyard, which therefore there'll be a lot of, and you can also flashback it for the same amount of mana. So even if you don't actually get it into your hand, it'll definitely go in your graveyard some way or another because you're just dredging so much. The next card is going to be Ancient Grudge, and this card's actually really great in this deck once again because of its flashback ability. So it's 2 mana to destroy an artifact, so you can get it in your hand as well, but it's just one green mana to destroy an artifact from your graveyard. So what a great card to do with Dredge. The next card we're going to be featuring is Thoughtseize, which is one of the best cards in Modern, played in several different decks. So if you guys don't know, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You pick a non-land card from it, and then you lose to life. So this is a great way to picking apart your opponent's hand if you're playing against a combo deck, or something where you just want to get something out of their hand right off the bat so you don't have to worry about it, get information about what they're doing, and then it helps you even plan your next turns to come. And then the next card we have is Lightning Axe. This is another just good removal spell. We have one in the main board, but if you see some big creatures that you're up against that you want to take down easily, this is a great removal spell. That's also from Shadows as well, so a bunch of new cards that are adding to the Dredge power. And then the last card on the sideboard which we have right now is Dark Blast, which is 1 mana, just give a creature -1/-1, and then it's Dredge 3 as well. So the -1/-1 is maybe to kill an important creature, although it has 1 toughness, and then the Dredge 3 is another added bonus to this card. Okay guys, so that wraps up Modern Dredge. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. You just added in the...
Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment.
I got 7 like 11, about 8.